I'm going to talk today about something that is rarely discussed, even in manosphere circles, and it's directly related to the modern age we live in, as distinguished and differentiated from prior times, a century ago, 2 centuries ago, millennia ago. Now, I want you to first understand that love, as it's presented to us, is very much a commercial concept in the modern era. It's a product. Love is basically like anything else, and it's continuously being sold to people, both men and women. And it's sold primarily through imagery and symbolism. Romantic comedies, roses, diamond rings, films of all sorts, and of course, the ubiquitous and these days ever-present dating site, hookup sites, applications, whatever. Love in its abstract form is now a commodity like anything else. In previous times, this simply wasn't possible. Why? No mechanization effect. The technology just wasn't there. People were limited in terms of where they lived and where they could travel. Limited resources, limited money, and above all, limited means. They just couldn't go many places, and so it was quite different back in the day. But through film, cinema, modern technology, above all the internet, love has very much become a commodity that can be sold. This is a virtually axiomatic statement, considering our times. This is the way it is these days. People have a very fixed idea of what love is. I mean, the average blue pillar, for example, has an idea of what love is. It's the thing that's being sold to him or her by the media, civilization, society, however you want to term it. Whatever the form of it might be, it's being sold to him in a form that is very specific, and that's what I want to talk about today. You see, love is a commodity that is sold and bought these days, more so than ever before because of technology, because of a changing environment. But I want us to pay close attention to the type of love being sold. Anyone who has spent any time in the manosphere, or really in any circle that practices or discusses things in terms of sex realism, realizes and acknowledges not only that men and women are different, but that they love, to use the term, differently as well. You know, men are the quote-unquote true romantics. They believe in love for the sake of love. Women are the opportunists. They love qualities and things that can be given to them. They don't necessarily love the person for who he is. And I want us to observe the type of love that is sold to us as a commodity. It is, almost invariably, and it's an interesting observation, the male form of love. The loving a person for who he is. The eternal love, which is not to say that male love is eternal. Men can obviously fall out of love, but men love people, women, for who they are. They generally don't have a laundry list of attributes and qualities that must be fulfilled. They might have this, but ultimately it's the entirety of the person, and men kind of give themselves to this person, right? Well, I think there are some very interesting observations and good reasons for why this is the case. Why, when love is being sold as a commodity, when it's being advertised, and there's some subtlety here, and I'll get into the subtlety in a bit. Why is it the male version of, love for the sake of love, romantic love? Why is that being sold as opposed to opportunistic love? Well, we have to delve into what a commodity is. Effectively, it's just a product in this case. Now, if there are two different products under the same rubric, and this occurs quite commonly. I mean, you can have I just ordered a new headset because my current one is, 3.5, 4 years old. There are different brands. There's Razer, there's Logitech, there's HyperX or whatever it was that I looked at. There are different types of radios, different types of cars. Different types of cars, great example. I mean, both cars will ideally get you to the same place, but there are differences in how they function. But the problem with the concept of love is because it is that it's so differentiated between the sexes and how they go about it, engaging in this reproductive strategy. Love is just sort of the final symbol, the final image that people have in their minds, even if they can't really look at the individual pixels of the image. They all believe they understand what it is. And so you basically have one product that is in fact two different products being sold under the same rubric, being sold under the same name. Now, if you're going to sell a product to someone, right, what product are you going to sell to a person? Let's say you're, buying a new mouse, right, for your computer. Well, one of the mice is known for being reliable, durable, and generally does what it's supposed to do. It's not perfect. Every now and then there have been complaints, but overall it's consistent. And gamers get a long gaming life out of the mouse. Usually lasts for years, and it's like the Energizer Bunny, keeps going and going. On the other hand, you have a type of mouse that is, let's say, very potent. It allows an incredibly precise degree of control in your gaming experience, but every couple of days it seems to lose its performance. It seems to do something different. In short, this other mouse that you're using or considering getting, even though it falls under the name of mouse for a computer, is unreliable. It lacks the reliability. It goes to these massive peaks and then it drops back down. And any given day can be different for this mouse. Now, both of these products ideally are being sold for approximately the same price. Which mouse are you going to buy? Are you going to buy the mouse that changes every day or every week? The mouse that is just wholly unreliable in the long run? That's based on whichever way the wind is blowing? Or are you going to buy the mouse that overall has better performance and is consistent and reliable? Generally speaking, people put their money where their mouth is, and so I would imagine if you were a customer looking for a new mouse, you'd probably buy the reliable mouse. So too, gentlemen, does this function with the two different types of love, to use this term again, that exist between men and women. You have the love for the sake of love, the romantic love, which has been discussed ad nauseum, so I won't go over it again, in men. And you have the opportunistic love of women. These are actually entirely different concepts and things. There's actually almost no crossover between the two, but they have the same title. And because they have the same title, the fact that love is now a commodity that can be sold and advertised allows the seller of, or the sellers of love to sell a certain type of love, even though they're completely different products. They have the same name, they do different things. If you're selling a product, such as love, are you going to sell a product that changes every week, that is based on subjective feelings, that shifts with every environmental change that takes place? Or are you going to sell the type of love that is consistent, that is love for the sake of love, the love of the romantic? In bygone days and ages, the love of the poet, the love of the rose, and all that the rose symbolizes, which is effectively romantic love. The love that transcends human limitations, all of this nonsense that is peddled. Well, men are men and men are human beings, despite belief and claims to the contrary, but certainly that is the more attractive form of love to sell to someone if you're going to be selling a product or a commodity. On the other hand, you say, well, here's this great thing I got. Why don't you buy it? We have this love, and it's really intense, but it'll probably only last a week or two, and then it'll change, and it'll never go back to the previous state. Or would you rather have something slower, more consistent, and more reliable? Something to believe in, right? Are you going to believe in something that shifts with the wind, changes with the storm? Or are you going to believe in something that weathers the storm and resists the wind that otherwise would force it to blow in a different direction and perhaps uproot its roots completely? Well, I think the answer is pretty clear. And when we talk about the commercialization, commodification of love, you need to sell the product that people are more willing to invest in. Now, that product is male love, romantic love. It's the reason why whenever it counts, which is to say whenever an advertiser of this commodity is trying to present the attractive qualities of it, you'll hear the qualities that are best personified and envisioned in the romantic form of love as espoused by males, as felt by males, and not really by women. Now, there is some subtlety, as I said, in this. It's not that it's just the only kind of love that's sold. There are numerous dating sites where women can put in their preferences, including income. It's not that the opportunistic love isn't catered to, and sometimes it's even emphasized in some cases. There's I think a German website, I think it's called like elite.de or some nonsense like that, for academics and professionals or whatever. That is, of course, geared much more to women. And of course, there's an assortive mating factor involved as well. It's just that, by and large, on aggregate, selling the romantic love of the poet, the male form of love, is a much more attractive prospect. And then underneath that, you will have undercurrents of opportunistic love, as can be seen in the kinds of details people might put in their dating profiles, the kinds of things that women might be more inclined to stress and emphasize. But make no mistake, we are living in the commodified age, and everything can be and has been turned into a commodity, including quote-unquote love. And the love of the poet, the romantic love, the kinds of crap you see in Hollywood romance films, the eternal love, the enduring love, that is not the love of the tree that is uprooted when the storm begins to gale and really rage. It's the resistant, resilient love. Men, as you know, they tend to, deal with shit a lot better. They tend to stick through things and deal with shit when times get tough. And they're willing to be, less than satisfied and continue to persevere. All of these are related to the idea of sort of personified love for the sake of love. Not the type of love that women generally espouse or feel, or I would say almost universally, otherwise they wouldn't be women, right? So I hope this has been helpful in demonstrating what exactly we see when we see and hear love being advertised in the form of a commodity, love being sold as a product. It just goes back to which product is more reliable in the sense of the rubric, right? I mean, saying that a product is unreliable. Here I have this great product that works really well one week and has a virtually, doesn't function at all next week, then has a different function the week after. Nobody would buy that product. If opportunistic love, female love, were sold en masse, no one would find that appealing. And more to the point, this allows for the pretense, the mass pretense, the anti-sex realism mentality that we see is prevalent basically everywhere, especially in the West, to prevail. Because if opportunistic love were actually an attractive prospect to be sold to the masses, even women realize this, subconsciously at least, and perhaps consciously, that opportunistic love, as it's called, is not an attractive prospect, a non-attractive product, more importantly. No one wants to say, look, I have this great product, it's so intense one week, and then next week it's gone. You won't feel anything. People want the slow, steady, reliable stuff. That's true of mechanical material products, and that's true of the abstracts that are sold to us in our strange modern times. Opportunistic love, female love, is not a particularly positive, as I've said many times in separate contexts, product to be sold. It's unreliable. It changes too often. People want reliability. And so this is another way in which sex realism and the different reproductive strategies of the sexes is effectively swept under the carpet, because almost everything in terms of the bold lettering, whether it's Hollywood films, dating sites, the symbolism of flowers or jewelry or whatever, there's a kind of the idea of a wedding ring, this giant diamond. There's some sort of permanence to that, isn't there? At least there's a symbolism of permanence. The carved stone that has endured millions of years. That's all, even though that's what the woman wants in terms of her opportunistic love, but it's not sold under opportunism. It's sold under the guise of symbolism vis-a-vis romantic love. Opportunistic love doesn't sell very well. And I think that, well, the love industry, if we wish to call it that, I'm not referring to the porn industry, but the love industry, the things I've been describing, would not completely cease to function, but would function very, very differently, and would be a lot more crooked than it is in our current age, in its current form, if opportunistic love were to be sold. But the people who sell us love are exceedingly good salespeople. They're not going to sell a faulty product, or I wouldn't say a faulty product, that's perhaps maligning women, but a product that's unreliable and that is just a product of the immediate environment. A product is meant to withstand the environment. When you buy something, a car, whatever, a mouse, if the mouse falls down, gets knocked down, you want it to continue working. You want basically, you want that reliability. You want it to be what it is for the sake of its being, whatever it might be: radio, mouse, car, toaster oven. You don't want it to change every day and every week. And that is why the symbolism of love is the love of the rose, the love of the poet, and not the love of the opportunist. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I will see you likely very soon again with forthcoming videos. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye, and may the gods watch over you. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.